The initial approach that everyone sort of came with was to protect the land as best as possible and not blow out the side of the mountain, as is sort of common when people are approaching a steep hillside.
The question always is, what are the rules of the game and how do we start? The blank sheet of paper is always the awkward moment. It becomes more about how much can you take away and how few things can you be left with and still have the essence of the idea.
There's a desire by both the owner and the architect to minimize the footprint and minimize the impact that the house and foundation had on the site.
I've been up here on more than one occasion where there's just, there's literally eagles soaring over the site, just floating on the thermals.
This is going to be probably the most challenging project I've worked on up to date. It's a dramatic wall. It's taller than most any wall on this island.
Our thought is, how could we be bird-like with the structure? The talons grabbing into the rock formations and the wings of the building just floating over. Everything we've done with the building really reinforces that feeling. From there, we just said, how lightly can we touch this land?
The structure itself is kind of an exoskeleton. The structure's on the outside as opposed to being on the inside. It's kind of the structural equivalent of picking yourself up by your bootstraps.
How can we take these man-made materials, concrete, steel, and express them and allow them to be in their rawest form? It's not about painting it or adding a layer of frosting on top of it. It's just letting the materials be and talking people into being enthusiastic about letting the steel frame rust is not always the easiest things, but when you come to the site and you see the peeling bark of the madrona and it just rings with a rich texture in the same way that rusty steel does.
There's a buzz around about this project. Just from the moment the steel arrived, people are wanting to know what's going on and who's running it and how it's going to all come together.
In looking for a contractor, one of my main objectives was to find somebody who was enthusiastic. And in Ken Cates, we found the right guy. He very immediately was just impassioned about the idea of being able to help make this thing. Additionally, I've known Nick Gallish for many years, and he has a background in bridge building. And this structural frame goes together like a bridge. And so I thought of no one better to consider using than Nick. Ken and Nick have both done an extraordinary job figuring out not only how to get the steel frame here, get the concrete foundation in, but to leave the land as they found it.
People have said, wow, we've seen challenging sites before, but this one is something new and this is something different.